Alright, Section 4, Machinery, Maintenance, Lubrication, and Inspection. Maintenance machinery. General immediate correction of any unusual condition environment. First, observe the necessary to avoid damage of the equipment necessary major repairs. Wheels. When setting up the wedge in place of the driving wheel with the top core with the side with a loose wedge with a brake wheel not set with a brake with a shoe with the pushing with the driving box again with the wedge at the be adjusted with the driving wheel with the block with the locomotive cannot move. Box will be pushed with the little steam wheel again with the shoe with the dead wedge with the wedge sitting up on the edge with the snug fit that should be pulled down when sufficiently allowed for expansion that fasten. If the wedge sets up too tight with the box will stick with the locomotive with the right hard expansion. Inspection with the locomotive with the moving locate with the defect of the wedge. Usually if the drive box gets too hot, the wedges should be pulled down immediately with the jam nuts on the wedge bolt should be loosened back down. The wedge sucks in too tightly with it might be necessary to run one or more wheels over the block with a loosen the pedestal brake bolt will allow the jaw of the spread. Rod brasses. Properly fitted with the rod brass if the key brass is not fitted with it will be keyed on a large part of the stroke of the pin will be sufficiently free to run without heating until snug enough to run without pounding. They will not be keyed in tightly enough to prevent lateral movement of the brass on the pin. Side rod. The side rod of the mogul of the consolidation type of locomotive will keyed plate with the engine center of the side to the key with the brass for the main pin with the keyed up first working each way toward the end of the rod with the care to be taken when kept with the proper length so that they do not bind with the passing either center. Wedges will be set up properly before side rods are keyed. 69. Lubrication. Locomotive lubrication. Objective of the lubrication is keep the film over the oil grease same lubricant between the two bearing surfaces to prevent except the friction created when they are close contact. To give the perfect lubrication, the feeders of oil cup with adjust with the feed regularly with a small quantity of the oil possible. Consistent with adequate lubrication of the engine is blowing oil with the added practice with the distributed with the packing with the top of the driving engine truck box with a spout of the oil can. The packaging is to put on the top of the box to specifically keep it to turn with the dust of oil out of the oil hole to aid gradual lubrication from the top of the box. With disturbing with the packaging will permit grit and dirt to work in the oil hole of the bearings to ensure the perfect lubrication. Engine man will make sure that waste on the top of all the driving boxes the engine truck was well oiled in proper shape. The oil has opening and accepted stated in C above. The packaging cellars in good condition. Contact with the journals. All grease cups are filled. The lubricator will working properly. It's bad practice to keep engine oil closer boiler to warm weather. The oil thin is such for the degree of the heat with the boiler runs off as soon as applied with the proper lubrication is accomplished. F engine oil U.S. Army specification number 260D will not be used with the lubricator begin with the engine oil begin with the separator that gives off the gas at 340 degrees Fahrenheit thus lose the lubricating qualities before reaching the temperature valve of the cylinders when they are working under steam. Temperature of the steam is at 120 pounds at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Valve oil federal specification number VV0601 will be used with the lubricator. Hot bearings will be cooled gradually, prevent under induced strain on the metal with the defective lubricating lube properly adjusted bearings called for the overheating and the damage of the equipment. 70. Air compressor and brakes. The air pump will be started slowly with the drain cocks to allow the condensed water to escape so if no provisions made with the steam end of the cushion piston and the stroke with the air pump will be allowed to work slowly until the pressure is 40 pounds accumulated. The main reservoir of the drain cocks will be closed with the throttle valve open sufficiently to operate with the compressor for the correct speed. The lubricator will be started with the pump. It's first put in operation. Air reserves will be drained at least once a day to remove the condensation. Steam end of the air pump will be oil with the site feed lubricated at the rate about 3 drops per minute with the air end of the oil means the over the oil cup is placed from the pump. So the purpose of the may be swapped with the position valve oil with the U with the federal specification number VV0601 air compressor, air brake. Trouble the following are common reasons with the pumping stop of the governor may be out of order. Reversing valve may be dry and need to be lubricated. Nuts on the piston rod may be loose or broken. One of the pistons may be pulled off. The reversing rod may be broken or bent. If the seam is first turned on, the piston makes the strokes up in the south shoulder of the reversing rod may be worn. Opening in the reversing plate may be too large enough. The shoulder of the reverse rod of the reversing plate may be loose and preventing the piston from traveling far enough to reverse the pump. Main valve may be stuck with the piston, makes the stroke up and the stroke down stop. The reversing plate may be loose at the bottom of the lower end. Reversing the rod may be worn or broken off. The main nuts may be off the piston rod over the air end. The main valve may be stuck with the position to the left. Before the governor fails to stop at the pump with the proper pressure for the adjusting spring with the proper release set with a waste pipe, but the governor may be frozen, stopped up. All strainer with the clogged with ice and dirt with the pump will run very fast and heat up with no air with the compressor with the trainers will be kept clean at all times. 6. The compressor and short stroke with the dances. There is too much little oil steam in with the bent reversing rod, low steam pressure since the governor has almost shut off the steam. If the handle of the brake valve does not operate freely, lubricate with the rotary valve of the key gasket of the valve oil with the federal specification number VV0601 throughout the oil hole of the valve body. Also lubricate side of the handle latch. 8. If there's a leak with the brake pipe, strip the exhaust probe with the valve that is relieved the running of the holding position and the trouble is probably covered with the dirt with the sheet with the brake pipe, the exhaust valve. This can usually be remedied by closing the cutout cock below the brake valve, making a heavy surface reduction, generally valve with the release position. The scroll with the strong below the surface of the exhaust port will use the remove the dirt and allow with the valve to seat. If the wheel starts lagging with the driving the brakes, the ply with the brakes will be relieved the power to slide with them rolling. Again, do not sand to start. That will cause the lid flat place if the driving wheel. But do not reverse the engine while the drivers are applied. Automatic brake is applied with the reduction brake pipe pressure for the release and restoring with the brake pipe pressure. Braking the train line cause of the emergency application. The most common cause of the brake sticking with emergency application, the overcharged train line with dirty feed valve with a suck brake with the blade off with the holding auxiliary reservoir or auxiliary release valve open until the brake piston starts to move with the release position. 71. Electric headlight dynamo. For turning steam in the turbine, lubricate with the bearing of the turbo generator, lubricating oil with the generator, and lubricating U.S. Army specification number 260D will maintain 1.5 inches top of the hanging over cup of the oil generator, oil cellar, U.S. Army specification number 260D, maintaining with the sufficient level to allow with the remove all of the oil ring to travel through with the oil, proper lubricating interior bearings. The communicator will be cleaned and examined each monthly and inspected with the file to cover the uneven the sandpaper will leave the remove the communicator never use the emery cloth send to the emery particle that may lies with the governor grooves between the communicator segment of the being with the conductor of electricity cover the short circuit with the particle with the emery may also become the mesh embedded into the brush and cover the communicator after cleaning with the communicator make a segment and separators may require undercutting to avoid shorting circuit. See, the communicator's most vital part with the generator must be kept clean when the brushes are removed frequently enough to prevent bush springs with the contacting brush hole with the new brushes will be fitted with the head of the bearing, same with the contour of the communicator. They may be accomplished by placing the piece of the sandpaper on the communicator so the revolving the armature of the generator short circuit will run slowly because the under the heavy strain will be stopped until the trouble is correct. If it is allowed with the run with the condition, damage may result with the armature and the field coils. 72. Inspection of the locomotive. The connection from the preparation engine man with the inspector daily reports of the locomotive will be daily. The duty with the responsibility with the maintenance personnel all shop of the engine houses to check the tool, the dispatch of the locomotive grease, all of the aluminium connection with the engine, fit all of the ride cups, inspect with the packing each of the engine truck box if necessary, inspect packing driver box cellars when necessary, inspect packing trailer truck boxes when necessary, inspect all tender truck boxes without packing when necessary, test water glass, water columns, gauge cocks, drippers and injectors, test brake equipment, inspect with the boiler, fire rocks, flues, tubes, and arch tubes for leaks, clean out tank hose and strainers, test headlight and electrical equipment, examine the telltale holes of cleaning if necessary, test standards, clean oil from the top of the fuel oil with the test of the oil burner steam atomizer if the steam cavity is open with the burner but not cracked, all check with the alignment of the burner. 17. Clean the fire pan, boot, and screen. D. During the monthly inspection of the locomotive, the duty maintenance with the also wash out the inspect with the interior of the wash tank, splash butt, plates, braces, grill, grinding the boiler, check with the top valve, stop valves, impact valve stems. 3. Grind the blow-off cock with the renew with the blow-off cock, steam gasket, inspect with the hydrostatic lubricator filler plug with the bush, examine the tip of the mechanical force feed with the lubricator, examine the ratchet rigging and cleaning strainers, check manual lubricator feed for standard setting, examine the fire door with the make necessary with the repairs, inspect with the shaft of the pedestal, binders, the wedges, remove the all rod collars, inspection bushing for the wear, inspect with the tighten fuel oil tank and anchor bolts, gauge all driving and trailing tires, engine, truck wheels, and flange wear distance and back-to-back, make inspection of all the wheels, examine all the tank hose, nuts, connection to show that they are in good condition, clean thoroughly, repair when necessary, inspect all the interior feed, water, strainers, tank valve, the other connection, interior water tank, the ensure the good condition. 14. Inspect the repair when necessary, all of the injector, starting valve with the extension of the operating rod, the latches and light, remove the cleaning of the air brake, feed valve, remove the bind with the oil atomizer valve, inspect the valve steam stem threads on the stem and in the bonnet, also inspect the valve seat with the disc, renew with the necessary. 17. Unroll, examine all of the cab curtains, repair with the renew with the necessary, examine the exhaust with the nozzle, bridge with the renew with the repair with the necessary. If cleaning the locomotive, join with the monthly inspection period with the bill to do with the maintenance personnel at the place designated for the work with the incoming truck with the tender truck with the locomotive running gear with the portion with the jacket with underneath the running boards for the locomotive, where it's just oily dirt prepared solution on the washing side of the cab with the tender jacket above the running board. Jacket cannot be cleaned with a wiping and dissolve with 1 pound approved of the making. Engine wash component or compound about 3 pounds of 3 gallons of hot water and stir until the engine wash compound is thoroughly dissolved. Use this valve to play with the cleaner around short hair, car scratch, scrub brush, rubbing and cleaner vigorously, and oil, dirt, and grime. Rinse all the oil off all dirt and cleaner with a clean water, hot water preferred. If it rising oil with the dirty spots remain with the surface riveted, joined with the corners of the surface, scrub these spots again with the cleaner with the rinse from the tip of the clean surface to obtain. Apply with the cleaner only the small strip at a time, and that is one strip of the cap of the stripe, strip 2 or 3 feet wide with the height of the tendon of the rinse of the alpha before dry with the cleaner is allowed with the dry on surface of the oil and dirt and grime which have been loosened will set and require application of the more cleaner of the removal. After the engine and tender is filled with the clean paint all of the dolly with the dingy surface of the driving wheels front with the cylinder jack with the other part of the running gear with the usually painted. Use locomotive black paint with apply with either brushing, spraying with the black paint best of the rust spot with the all inherent mint and whether remove the surface before painting. If the jacket is dingy, brush with the spray with the coat with locomotive black paint with the spray locomotive with the brush smoke block for the side of the firebox under the cab with the or painted end improved with the made front end paint with apply new coat to the front end and paint the necessary polish, belt clean rods, hand wipe with the paint with the pump air pump the feed water head jacket due for the quarterly inspection steam locomotive, which also includes the work performed daily with the monthly inspection maintenance personnel with the steam gauge clean, steam gauge cock, siphon cocks, anneal, steam gauge siphons, pipes. 4. Examine the valve and the cylinder package. 5. Renew the packing of all the cab and the fountain valve stems. 6. Clean the brush of the smoke box front end of the firebox parts that expose the paint with the brush thoroughly. Clean test repair just for the air pump governor. Remove the cleaning and inspect the water glass tube that reflects the glasses and renew any of the warm with the renew all water glass gaskets, inspect, repair steam injectors, examine the grates and rigging and renew if necessary. During semi-annual inspection, steam locomotive include with the work performed the daily, monthly, and quarterly inspection made with the personnel, examine, lubricate with the engine and the trucks and castings. Remove the cleaning and the repair injector, remove the washout, all of the type of the force feed with the lubricator, also remove the clean screens, or put the force feed lubricator by hand to measure, make sure the pipe is open with free of leakage. 5. Test the mechanical lubricated terminal checks. During the annual inspection, steam locomotives will perform daily with the monthly, quarterly, semi-annual inspection. Maintenance personnel will remove branch pipe, the annual copper pipe, and then clean all scales. Examine the boiler, check and clean, whitewash all main side rods, hammer with copper hammer, inspect cracks and other defects. Section 5. Locomotives out of service.